All right, folks, day one, the Republican-led government shutdown, and man, it's getting a little funky. Republicans keep blaming Democrats, and they keep advancing the lie over and over and over that Democrats are trying to get health care for undocumented workers who they call illegal aliens. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson went on Good Morning America, and George Stephanopoulos literally reads him what the Democrats' letter said, and Johnson's like, no, that's not it, Roland.
This morning, the Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean, nonpartisan continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government open. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple. Every Democrat in the House, except one, voted against the clean continuing resolution. It was nonpartisan in nature. There are no policy riders on it that Republicans favored. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer and other Democrats voted for in March. But they've changed their tune. They changed their tune because Chuck Schumer is having political problems right now. That's just a simple fact, and everybody knows that he's trying to outrun the far left portion of his base, so he's decided to inflict pain on the American people.
That's the reality of what we're facing. Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies. No. Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
It does, actually, because what it does is it unwinds the changes that Republicans put into the big, beautiful bill, the big signature legislation that we passed and signed into law on July 4th. That has been very...
Okay, I can't keep listening to that line. Joining us right now is Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Glad to have you on the show. As I've said before, my Congresswoman, since is my house, and I'm still a registered voter in the 30th Congressional District of the Dallas suburb there. All right, so here's what's crazy, Congresswoman Crockett. He literally is reading from the whole deal. And John, no, that's it. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. How is it a lie? You can't, undocumented folks can't get health care. It's the law. What the hell is he, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and all the Republicans talking about?
Listen, they hate facts. I mean, we know that. That's why they refuse to acknowledge that this is what seemingly looks like a career criminal that is serving as the president. This is why they refuse to face the fact that January 6th was what it was, which was an insurrection. They are consistently trying to rewrite history, even when we talk about Black history. They want to basically tell us it was a glorious thing, or how they have glorified Jim Crow. The reality is that everything that George said, this is not about those that are undocumented getting health care. Now, let's just be very real about this, Roland, like for 2 seconds. We have seen them going into people's places of work. We have seen them going into places of worship. We have seen them going into people's schools and grabbing them up. We have also seen how a lot of these undocumented people have tried to go through the process. They are people that are going and showing up to court, and they are being disappeared. So you tell me how many of them you think are about to say, well, you know what, but I do want to sign up for that health care that I'm not entitled to because the Democrats are about to fight for it. Like, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense. Literally, they are throwing people into alligator Alcatraz, but now they are trying to sell us on this has some. That's not what it is. What it is that they are proposing to take $1 trillion out of the healthcare ecosystem. They have decided that they are going to slash Medicaid and Medicare funds. They have decided that these subsidies that were helping some people actually be able to afford their healthcare, which is life-saving for some people, that they want to roll back that subsidy for those that are on the Affordable Care Act. That is what this is about. And then they want to say, well, you know, this isn't the time to talk about it. Well, I can remember so many times where we were dealing with a shutdown and they decided to inject the issue of, say, the debt ceiling and capping that off and not raising it and things like that. And the final point that I'll make, Roland, is that these people are trashy and tacky and ridiculous because he's referencing that there was a continuing resolution done in March. Yes, they never passed an appropriation all of last year. And now we are at yet another deadline for a new appropriation, and they can't get those passed. These people cannot govern. I am tired of people giving them the benefit of the doubt and acting like they are serious. Take them as seriously as you take the president's tweets.
Absolutely. And again, they keep saying it. And then what got me was he said, well, no. They literally presented to us a document. Okay, show us the document. Show us the document where it says we want health care for undocumented people.
No, they don't have a document to that effect. And I want to be clear that this shutdown is going to impact everyone. It's going to impact our constituents and their constituents alike. But also the things that we're pushing for as Democrats, basics around health care. You know, this is the party allegedly that is pro-life, at least until the life clearly shows up and then they don't care. We are trying to do everything that we can to minimize the damage that has been caused by this administration as we are dealing with record unaffordability that was absolutely avoidable because this is not where our economy was. It wasn't necessarily where people wanted it to be, but it is 10 times worse. And we're not even a full 9 months in. So we are trying to make it to where as people's other costs are increasing, whether it's their food, whether it's their rent, whether it's the education for their children, we are trying to make it to where, at least when it comes to healthcare, those costs are not somehow slamming them against the wall when we know that they are already going to endure an increase because of the big ugly bill. This is going to be yet another second setback for people, and we are trying to minimize the damage.
So this is what I keep getting. Do Democrats have the tenacity, the guts to hold out? Republicans are trying to blame them. They're trying to say it's all on Democrats. It's their fault. And so what is the messaging strategy to hammer this thing home as opposed to y'all getting blamed?
Well, first of all, I don't do messaging strategy for the party. But what I will tell you is that I have been very clear. The Republicans control the White House, the Senate, as well as the House. And effective leadership starts at the top. These are the words of the current president. He ain't saying it currently, but we know that Donald Trump historically said, if there is a shutdown, you blame the president. Well, I'm just asking his followers and mine to listen to his own words and go ahead and blame him. And we know that he's to blame because there was goodwill on behalf of the minority leadership. They were trying to meet with him, and he didn't feel like it was just that important. In addition to that, once they finally did have a meeting, he obviously did not take it seriously, and he did not engage in good faith negotiations. In addition to that, we know that when we passed legislation, as soon as this guy came in, he impounded funds. He stopped sending money out that we had appropriated. So not only do you need to come to the table, but you need to tell us why we can be assured that once we get what it is that we're asking for, that you won't just go and violate the law and do whatever you want to do anyway, which is what he's been doing ever since he's been in office. So we have a long list of reasons not to give in, especially when you get nothing. Like, why? Like, he's not who our voters voted for. That's not who elected those Democratic senators. The Democratic senators were elected by presumably Democrats, and they were elected to do smart things. They were not elected to roll over like the entire Republican Party has done, even to the peril of their own constituents.
One of the things that I think is important, and I said this yesterday, Bishop William Barber always talks about this. He says that what's critical is showing impacted people, showing those folks, hearing from them, not just having political leaders talk. Your thoughts on that as well, because that way, when you have the children of government workers, the people who are directly impacted by a government shutdown, speaking about how this pains them, I think that's also effective for people to hear from those voices.
No, that's absolutely right. There were a couple of press conferences that were held yesterday by the Democratic caucus, because we've been here in DC ready to work. And in those press conferences, definitely there were some voices of people that talked about the importance of, number one, healthcare. And I'm sure as we start to truly feel the impacts as it relates to federal workers, that some of those stories will absolutely come forward too. What we have found in polling, though, I will be perfectly honest, is because of probably the demonization of so many federal workers for so long by the right, that we don't end up getting as much sympathy for them as, in my opinion, we should. Instead, it's a matter of people are pretty much saying, you know what, how is this going to impact me? So when they're going through the airports, I think the stories of, the fact that the lines are even longer, that their waits are longer, that flight delays are even worse. We know that the last time we were able to get out of a shutdown, which again was another Trump shutdown, it was because of air traffic controllers. Air traffic controllers said, we out. And they were the ones that single-handedly brought this thing to an end, because now you've got corporations that are calling in to the president and talking about the amount of money that they're losing in commerce. You also have just passenger airlines that are calling in, talking about the amount of money that they're losing. And so honestly, the most powerful people, in my opinion, in this moment are the air traffic controllers. We already know that we're down air traffic controllers anyway. We also know that we have an incompetent fool that is running the Department of Transportation in the first place. We are experiencing record delays as it is. So I do think that if, industry speaks up and speaks up quickly and talks with their pockets, that we may be able to get somewhere.
Absolutely. That is critically important. I got a panel here. They got one question each for you. So let me go to them. Rebecca Carruthers, President, CEO of Fair Election Center. Your question for Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you, Congresswoman. What should ordinary, everyday Americans be doing at this point in response to the government shutdown?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is important kind of goes along with what Roland was just asking. I think they should be documenting their experiences. I always tell people that the power belongs to them. And so tell your own story. You don't have to wait on somebody else to call you and tell it. There's so many times that we've seen certain stories that really have touched people and have gone viral. So I say document what you're going through, whether it is, you needed to leave the country for an emergency of some sort and you're having issues as it relates to your passport, or whether it's the fact that, you missed a flight because of what's going on and now you missed out on, say, a job opportunity. Whatever your story is, or if you are a veteran and you're at the VA and you're not getting services like you need, definitely document this. And it is my hope that the morality of Americans, good patriotic folk, speaks up and elevates a lot of these stories. So I would say document. The other thing that I would say, it ain't really got that much to do with the shutdown, but in general about the economic situation that we're in, is continue to hold on to your dollars. Hold on to as many dollars as you can, because unfortunately, every single thing that this administration is doing is really wreaking havoc on our economy, including the shutdown.
Author and speaker out of D.C. Randy, what's your question for the Congresswoman?
Thank you so much for being here, Congresswoman Crockett. You spoke about how the air traffic controllers have a lot of power right now. Are you or anyone else in communication with them? What are they saying? What is the union saying? Are they already speaking up?
Yeah, so funny thing, when you're effective, they decide to change the rules to the game. So they changed the rules after they were effective in basically, bringing this thing to a halt and getting us back on track. So they are not allowed to do some of the things that they did last time. We will see what happens. I don't know, but it's a very difficult line for me to walk as I talk about this, but I will tell you that we have already been down on air traffic controllers. And I would hate for us to end up in a situation in which we have even more air traffic controllers that we lose as a result of them, say, calling in or calling off. while it may bring the government back to the stance of open, we know that air traffic controllers, it takes a long time. It takes approximately a year to train an air traffic controller. So I'm kind of nervous about us losing even more because we know that they riffed some of them when they shouldn't have. So I have concerns, but I do want us, I am hoping that there are some federal workers that recognize their power and at some point bring something to a halt so that we can get out of this holding pattern that we're in and get back to the business of the people.
All right, next up, Joy Chaney, founder of Joy Strategies out of DC. Joy?
Hi, Congresswoman. So I'm a two-term alum of the Senate. I have not worked in the House, unfortunately, but I do know that the only way this will work, this shutdown effort will work, is if Democrats stick together. Otherwise, we'll fall apart and it will have been for nothing. Right now, it feels worth the sacrifice, but we got to stick the landing. I'm concerned about the Democratic Party and our ability to hold things together. We know Senator Schumer lost 3 votes last night. What are you telling your Democratic colleagues about sticking together? And, how is your voice carrying in those corridors of power?
Yeah, so I don't know that the Senate listens to a word that I have to say. They are considered the upper chamber. So, I don't know that they're necessarily listening to me. But one of the things that I actually proposed to a senator that I am close to prior to the shutdown was that we caucus together, that we have House Democrats and Senate Democrats come together. Most people would probably be surprised to find out that we don't actually do that at all. At least not since I've been in Congress. We've not come together as one caucus. So I am hoping that we can come together and start to hear each other out and also strategize together. I think that, having 200 something other Democrats in addition to, the 40 something senators, I think it really could be impactful. And we know that in the House, we only lost 1 Democrat when this vote came up. So I am hoping that leadership is talking. There was another member that actually brought up us coming together. And I think that if they can start to get to know us and hear our voices, that it'll be a lot easier to stick together if there's a total of, close to 260 Democrats between the chambers.
All right, then. Well, Congresswoman Crockett, it's a whole lot going on, and we're going to stay on top of this as well. A lot of people are going to be impacted by it. And look, at the end of the day, stay strong, stay firm, because these folks here, they wanted control. Well, they got it. Now they got to own it.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.